Hello and happy Monday. So welcome to the Wellness Movement. And I am your host, Julie Brar. And you are also watching Spanglish World and the H.E.R network on Zingo TV channel 250 and 251. Remember to download the Zingo TV app from your app store. You can leave a review. And remember that the app is also free. So Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire and Fire Sticks, Roku and Roku Sticks on smart TVs from 2016 forward. So today I have a guest, Ronja Sakata. So Ronja is a life and business coach, food engineer, and the queen of joy. Since launching in 2013, Ronja treats clients to the secret world of joy and energy. With her zest for life and passion to change the world, she has a unique talent for inspiring and educating all those around her so their business and personal lives may thrive each and every day with ease and grace. Ronja is fluent in Japanese, if you couldn't already tell. And has an overwhelming passion for Japan after an internship there in 2001. She currently resides in Switzerland with her husband and daughter. Ronja is a food engineer with a BA and a master's from ETH Zürich, where she obtained her degree in teaching higher education. In 2009, she obtained her coaching degree from Zurich University of Teacher Education. So welcome to the show. Okay, what time is it there?
It's 9 p.m.
Oh, it's 9 p.m. Well, you're very hyper for 9 p.m.
Yeah, I love to be here with you. Hello, that's so cool. I love, the international connection and this thing called internet. How amazing is that? That this is just even possible.
Yeah, we're able to connect with anyone all over the world if we want to. So it's pretty handy. Yeah.
When I met my husband 20 years ago in Japan, there was no Skype, no Facebook, no Instagram. It's just like a really different world. I was in the coffee shop in one computer with the internet, making the sound. The
dial-up.
Yes, and now we're here with picture and live. That's so cool.
And video and everything.
Absolutely.
I think it's really important to be grateful for technology because especially with everything that's been going on in the last year and a half, just over, if it wasn't for technology, we'd be screwed. So yeah, little applause for technology.
And for being grateful for the little things in general. I mean, that's not little, but just the normal thing or the things we think is obvious. It's not. Everything is so, it's special, and gratitude is a good feeling anyway.
So I kind of want to, we spoke a while ago, so I kind of want to go back a little bit from when we first talked, because you shared some things with me in terms of just your own life experience and how you kind of come to this place where you have an appreciation for the simple things in life. But you lost some friends that were close to you, right? Like you experienced death while you were rather young. So who did you, what exactly happened?
Yeah, that had a big impact on me because at 17, you're just not thinking of friends dying in a second. It was an avalanche and bike accidents, several, and another avalanche. It was really devastating. But then over 10 years, I was attending so many funerals and it changed me bit by bit. But when my sister's best friend died because of a heart attack, and she was 25 and she was at home, I was like, okay, I don't have to go skiing or hiking in the mountains in winter. I don't have to ride a motorbike. I just can drop that any given minute. And it really is, it sounds kind of exaggerated or cheesy even, but it's really any given moment. So I chose at that funeral to just appreciate every moment of my life. And that's why when people ask me, how are you? I say, I'm fantastic. And if I'm sad, I say, I'm so sad at the moment. You know, don't fake your feelings, but mostly, I would say 95% of my time, I'm really, really happy and I enjoy being here with all these wonderful people and whatever is going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. What you were saying is like having, when you experience loss and death specifically, because there's one thing to lose a relationship, a friendship, things end, right? We all have relationships that end. There's a saying, I don't know if you've ever heard it, like you have friendships for a reason, a season, or a lifetime, right? But death is one of those things that once someone is gone, there's no, you can't just pick up the phone, you can't reach out to them. There's no do-overs, and there's like a finality to it, right? And that processing that you have to do, the going through grief and accepting all of the emotions that come with it, especially when you're young, that's really, really challenging to process. So how did you, I know you decided at that funeral for your sister's friend that you were going to live your life and be joyous, but previous to that, like, how did you process all of those losses?
I mean, yeah, grieving just needs so much time, and that's, I think, also a problem in our society. Like 2 months or maybe a half a year later, and somebody who lost his or her partner, it's like, oh, you're still grieving? I mean, these comments are so out of order, because grieving is years of all of a sudden you're so sad and you're just crying somewhere maybe inappropriate, and people are like, what's the matter? And it's just because you had a moment of grief hitting you like a hammer. But I think there is nothing else than accepting this feeling and process it by letting it out. Don't push it down, and just accept that that's how it is. And then, I mean, you could be frightened and panicking all the time that your heart will stop in the next minute, or you just live to the fullest. I think I'm less scared than before, because I know it could be over anytime. So I just enjoy it. You know, I'm not a risk taker. Like, I don't like bungee jumping or things like that just because I don't like thrills. I don't need that to be happy, but I'm happy for people who love that. But even though I am like on a risky hike or something, I'm not worried. I'm taking care of myself. I'm cautious, but I'm not frightened. I think that would be the worst case, if I would be like frozen because of these experiences. And I did it the other way around and just thought, I make the absolute maximum out of my time. And I plan to become a really old, cool lady, very, very energized, still over 100, and celebrating life. That's my plan. And in the meanwhile, I enjoy today and right now with you here on camera. And just like every moment counts.
Yeah. I liked what you had to say about the fact that, you know, our society moves so fast that most people don't understand that grief needs time. And I always like to tell people that it's not that you ever stop grieving. It's sometimes it's like underneath everything, but it just changes. Like, you're able to enjoy your life, but there can be this grief underneath things as well. And a lot of people, because especially now, like, we're used to moving at such fast pace all the time, like on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, that people are very uncomfortable with this idea of that something like really properly grieving someone takes such a length of time that you can't just rush through it, you know? So I really, really like that, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't appreciate. And so I'm glad that we're talking today, because I think that one of the things that's happened in the last year, a year and a half, really, I don't know, it's been more than a year and a half. It feels like forever, is I think that people don't understand that part of what everybody's been going through is this collective grief, right? And because a lot of people are not used to what that is, there is this desire to want to numb out, tune out, wish it away, flick a switch. Can we just go back to normal? I don't know how it is in Switzerland, but that's how it feels here.
Yeah, we had two like major lockdowns, but I think around Switzerland it was more strict. So we're stubborn mountain people, you know, in our tiny little country. We never had, for example, mask mandatory everywhere when you leave the house, and we never had a you can't leave the house by this and this time or things like that. But yeah, I think this. I love to have a full life, you know, with a lot of action and things I like to do, but I like to take it slow and think and meditate and take care of my whole, like holistically of my whole body and soul. But this always being busy and parties and cinema and all these distractions, I think when you take them away, it's like, oh wow, even though maybe you didn't lose anybody to this virus, it was really special for a lot of people. Like, ooh, I don't have my busy entertainment around me. What do I do now? Mm-hmm. I have to spend time with me. That's not easy. So right. Yeah, I think this press pause. There was a meme of we can't slow down or something on Earth, and then Earth saying like, oh wait a minute, hold my beer, I will send you a virus. Like, yeah, I kind of like this idea, even though I want to honor everything what happened, but I like this idea that the micro, you know, I'm trained in microbiology too, because I'm a food engineer, because we have to know about viruses and bacteria. So I kind of like how these not even visible like beings can disturb us so much, and we're not almighty. That's just the fact. So I think kind of acceptance how small we are in this whole universe helps to keep our souls balanced and yeah, the perspective of the world and what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think it hopefully it humbles us and helps us to realize, because I like you too also thought that, you know, humans we call ourselves like, you know, masters of the universe. We're the, you know, some people say, oh, we're the top of the food chain, which technically we aren't. And all that happens is this tiny little virus comes along and says, no, you're not.
Yes, wait a minute, hello, here I am, yes. Yeah. And I think we shouldn't make fun of it, but then it's just kind of funny too. Like, yeah, it's both.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think it's also like, more than anything, it's also recognizing that that nature is more powerful than we think we are.
Yeah, and if nature doesn't need us, we need nature. That's just really, really a fact.
Yeah, and so the last year and a half has been proof of how much we are not in charge, and how much nature, she can just decide in a moment. She can just go, okay, all right, here's a typhoon, here's a cyclone, here's a virus, here's some wildfires, you know?
Yes.
And that immediately should humble us. But I mean, I guess it'll be interesting to see as we come out of this, how humanity responds to going back to normal.
Yeah, I hope, and I really think there was a big impact. Just, yeah, a lot of shifts on different levels. Maybe not as big as we would have wished for, like for the environment and everything, but yeah, I think there is an impression which is lasting. I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I was speaking to a friend of mine in the UK, and I mean, the thing that a lot of organizations realized is that their employees could be productive not being in the office, you know? And it's interesting because she was sharing with me how now that everything's kind of opening back up, that they're being nudged back into the office. And so she's like, I've actually really, really loved working from home, because she's like, yeah, I know you need to see people, so it'd be good to kind of go into the office a couple days a week, but the rest of the time I do so much more work at home, right? So it's like, to me, kind of like what you're saying, is just reimagining how we can relate to each other, how we can relate to nature, how we can set up our own day-to-day life so that there's more joy and happiness, what you're talking about, right? So, yeah, I don't know if in Switzerland it probably was a little bit different because you guys didn't quite experience what the rest of the world experienced, you know?
Yeah, I think we had we had a good impression, but not as severe as in other countries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
so,
of course, like different, like banks, they said home office is not possible, and now it was possible. So I think that, yeah, like working at home as a possibility, or even taking care of kids, or being at home for lunch. You know, in Switzerland, children still come home for lunch, and then that like daddy can be home and cook lunch and do his work in the afternoon. Like this is a new possibility which opened up now in the like the traditional setups of families. So I really like that. Even hard, how do you say that? Like stubborn companies which said like it's not possible to have home office, all of a sudden opened up to these possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, it was either you go along with what's happening and go with the times, or you get left behind, right?
Yeah. That's also in nature. That's the saying. Like you can deal with the circumstances, or
So you went to Japan in 2001. You speak Japanese. You met someone in Japan, and like what called you to Japan? It's such an interest. I don't know, because like so many people, especially in Europe, a lot of people tend to gravitate towards America, and so it's just interesting that you gravitated towards Japan.
You know, I was in Iowa City. I went to kindergarten, so I had my American and my American experience is always in my heart. But as I think I was 12, I was reading a lot of books of an author. She's married to a Japanese. She's Swiss, Italian, a big mix of countries. And she wrote like teenage books for girls, and a lot of her books played in Japan. So like teenager so-and-so in Tokyo has this and this adventure. And I loved these books. So when I was 12, I decided I want to go to Japan. And I always love to stay in a country and experience the everyday life, you know, the normal pace, and like the boring part I find most interesting. So, you know, not the sightseeing and the action, like how do people live, what is in the supermarkets. And then when we had to do an internship for our studies at the university, it was mandatory to work somewhere for 17 weeks, and you could do it in Switzerland or somewhere in the world. You have to organize it yourself anyway. And then, yeah, my father worked in the technical university in the hydraulic research department, and he had friends he met every year at the Congress from Japan, and he wrote an email to every one of them. And then actually the guy, it was a professor of Kobe University, and he organized everything for me, like work and homestay, everything. And he actually met him only 20 minutes, sometime between, like a visit. And yeah, it was really, really miraculously how everything worked out, because Japan is not used to interns. That's not like a culture. They are like, oh yeah, bring me an intern from Switzerland. Yeah. So everything worked out. And then at the barbecue underneath the blooming cherry blossoms, I met my husband. And he was working in the chewing gum factory. He made 3,000 kilograms of chewing gum.
Wow.
Every day. Yeah. So, and the rest is history.
2 years later. So when did you learn Japanese?
I was learning Japanese before going there. I paused with university for 1 year for learning Japanese, and I worked as a nanny for a little boy. He's 20 now. How crazy is that? I had him, when he was 6 months old. And yeah, I learned Japanese full-time and worked as a nanny, and then I went to Japan. And I always wasn't good in languages in school. I was the big fail in languages. I was good in math and chemistry and physics and things like that. But Japanese was the first language I really wanted to learn. And English, I just learned because I was in kindergarten in America. So yeah, that was really fun. And Japanese is so different. You have to forget about everything and just learn new, cool, crazy things. And from the pronunciation is really easy for German-speaking people. It's not for English, it's not. But, Sakata is my last name. And in English, you say Sakata. And it's just, yeah, the syllables and the vowels are different.
I knew I was butchering that last name.
But no problem. No problem at all.
But, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing so good on Japanese last name.
Sakata, that's just the English version. No problem.
So, I mean, I think also the other thing for North Americans is everything is so spread out, but in Europe, everything is so much more contained. And in Switzerland, especially, you're bordered by 4 different countries. So besides Japanese and English, how many other languages do you speak?
That's the point. We had to learn French in school, and I failed so badly. When I had to write the report, when I got it back and you would look from afar, it was just red because every word had at least 3 mistakes. And the accents on top of the, like, if I knew there is an accent, it was on the wrong direction for sure. It was devastating. And I had a really nice teacher, so she managed to, yeah, we have marks from 1 to 6. 1 is the baddest and 6 is the best. And 4 is like okay. And if you're below 4, it's not okay. And if you're above 4, it's okay. And she always managed to make it a 3.75. And then in the report, it was a 4. But yeah, she was too good to be true. And I wasn't. Actually, I also wasn't interested in French. That was the main problem, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not the girl who speaks like Italian and French. And, one of my best friends, we were living together while going to university. He grew up in the mountain region where there is this old language called Romanish. So we have French, Italian, German, and this Romanish. It's an old language which is close to Latin. Latin is not a spoken language anymore, but they learned that, they spoke that as kids. So he's fluent in Portuguese, in Brazilian, Spanish, Italian, French. It's just so easy for him, and for me, it's not accessible. So yeah, I can speak Japanese and now English quite well, and that's it.
Oh, well, I can only speak English, so you're ahead of me, because when I was in school, so Canada is obviously English and French are official languages, And if you go to school in Canada, you have to take French classes. Well, I took French classes for 12 years and managed to not learn French.
Yeah, that's
And
the same for me. 12 years, I can't barely say what I want in the restaurant. It's a little bit.
I think I could manage broken French if I absolutely had to. And it wasn't that I didn't want to learn French. I think it was just the way that they were teaching it in school. Now, we do have, in Canada, we do have French immersion schools. So you can go to a French immersion school and then you're pretty much forced to learn French because everything is in French. But if you're going to an English speaking school and then you get like one French class every other day, you're not really immersing yourself in the language. It's virtually impossible to learn it. So I still have this very romantic notion in my head of going to France and living in Paris and learning French and then going to Italy and learning Italian.
But yeah, and if you would stay there like for a half a year, for sure you could speak absolute perfect French afterwards, because that's amazing to me. I built up a Japanese salad dressing company for a Japanese guy here in Switzerland after finishing university, and then I had to organize tastings, for the salad dressing to put a little piece of bread into the sauce and try it like this. And one of the stores, they had like two test spots they wanted to send me to, and if I managed to sell enough sauces, dressing bottles there in a day, I could go in the whole distribution. So I went to Geneva, and there is French, and I brought a friend with me, because fluent in French, because my French is just not good enough to make the point. But every day I learned so much, from her. And then from somewhere in my head or brain, some French came back. It was really interesting. And I'm just the learning by doing lady. Sitting in school and like learning words and grammar, that's not my kind of learning.
Yeah. So for you, like you're a flute engineer, but now you're a coach. So what happened?
What happened? I was building up this Japanese salad dressing company, and then people approached me because of Japan, like, yeah, it's not possible to travel there, right? What would I have to consider, and what's like the don't do, like the really bad pitfalls. So I built a life event evening, where I was teaching all the stuff, and it was fun. And then people asked me for a Japanese course, and I thought, well, I'm not perfect in Japanese. I just can say whatever I want. But then they told me, like, you can explain it so well. So I built an online course for learning Japanese in Swiss German. So it's a niche of the niche of the niche.
Wow.
And and then I was teaching in a professional school for teenagers who are becoming food technologists. We have this system in Switzerland where you go to school and you are hired by an enterprise like a potato chips factory or ice cream factory or chocolate factory. You are an employee of this factory, and then you go to school regularly. And then after 3 years, you pass a practical test and a theoretical test. And then you are like a real trained, certified food technologist. So I was a teacher for them in process engineering and raw materials and microbiology. And I was teaching for 12 years. And while teaching, I was also like I don't know how you say that, like for one class, you are the head teacher or
assistant teacher?
No, like you take care of them also for private problems, or if they're problems with
like a homeroom teacher.
Yeah, like I was there. Like if there was any trouble, I was their
go to.
Yes. So then I had this coaching education, and I really liked the one-to-one and realized how much joy that brings me. And yeah, over the years, it just went fluently to coaching. And then I thought, well, my whole life, I mean, 17, these first funerals, after them, I took so many courses and seminars and read all the books and just built up my own joy mindset. And then it was natural that I went into teaching that. And that's now my mission until I'm 111 years old.
Why 111?
I just love these multiple digit numbers so much. All my prices on my website are multiple digits, and if I see a number plate, you know, with 555 or 888, I'm like, message from the universe. That's just a game. No reason other than that I like it.
That's good enough reason. So what were some of the books that you were reading?
I think she's a German author, but there is translated in English. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She was like studying death and near-death experiences. That was kind of the first like explanations. Also, like somebody died here and 600 kilometers at a different spot, somebody could tell, like, ooh, now my father is dead. Or yeah, like very, I think for me it was soothing to know it's not over after death. For me, definitely not. And then yeah, I came from one to another, from another, because I thought it's so pointless that he is dead, that she is dead. Like, what's the plan? And you know, I was brought up Christian in a very, I think, in a very nice way. It was not pushing. It was not pushed on me. I didn't have to rebel against it. So, like, I always believed in a big force and called it God, but I wanted to know more. And then the whole manifesting, and that your thoughts become things, and that just the holistic view on this world, that there are kind of parallel universes. And that was so interesting last year. Like, people were very angry or very sad or very relaxed, and it was all the same circumstances. Like, wow, we can deal with things differently, and actually it's only in our heads. And that's, I always tell my clients, you know, that's just such a good thing, that we can decide how we want to think, and then we build our mindset, and then we feel better, or like how we want to feel, and we are in power and in charge. How cool is that? And you can't change somebody else. That's like the good and the bad news if you're angry about somebody else. But the good news is you can change yourself. So I like to be in, or to feel like I'm in power, and I can decide myself and nobody else. I take care of myself, and I'm responsible for myself. And that means that I'm in full power. I like that.
Well, it's also interesting, like what you said, that the last year, how different people respond to the same events in so many different ways, right? There's people who are very upset about it. There's people who are very fearful of it. There's people who are, they're kind of like charting their own course. There's all of these different reactions, but it's literally the same event, you know. So what do you think it is that sets people, the ones who decide that they're going to take charge and be in power, versus the ones who are, who kind of get more like into a fear mode, right?
I think, or I believe, we don't need a catastrophe or like a severe illness or something really threatening. But of course that helps. Like if you get pushed to rock bottom, you can either like say, okay, I die, or I want to live and I want to have a good time here.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe we don't need that. We can decide anytime. And maybe it's a book, maybe it's a like a speech or even an Instagram post, which is just has just such a big impact in the right moment where you're like, wow, yes, now I want to decide myself. Now I don't complain anymore about my work. I just have to leave this job or just get into action mode. I think fear is it's so hard to be in a fear state because you don't have any energy and it really keeps you low. But if something, and that's why I love kindness so much and random act of kindness, you never know what your nice, kind action, even if it's just a greeting in the morning, if it's your neighbor or somewhere where you greet people, you never know if that was the tipping point, like the world is good. Like I thought everything is bad, but now this interaction helped me to climb over that first step, and then it goes up and up. Maybe, but yeah, it's just easier said than done. But I mean, there are so many role models who just rise from the ashes, and it's absolutely possible for anybody. But you have to decide yourself. Nobody saves you besides yourself.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's, also in relationships, you have to make me happy. You are responsible for my happiness. No. And how cool is it that nobody is responsible for your happiness? You are. So you can decide yourself and choose what makes you happy and what brings you joy.
Right.
And then when you take full responsibility and care of yourself, it's more fun with other people because they don't feel responsible for you anymore and all the expectations are stripped away. Then you can be free and enjoy your time together. Yeah, I like freedom so much.
Yeah. No, I think you're like, it's bang on what you're saying is that nobody is responsible for you and no one can do the work for you. You have to decide for yourself that you're going to take charge, take action. But I think it's just really, really interesting times because we've never had more information and we've also never had so many sort of extreme views in so many different things. And like in your work that you've done, like, do you think there are certain qualities that people possess that get them to go, okay, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna do the thing, versus the people who don't? Because in the work that I do, like with being a holistic nutritionist and a health coach, is that I can give somebody so much information, so much great information, this tip, this technique, this diet, all of these things, but I can't ever do anything for anyone, right? And so one of the conversations that I always have with people is like, why is it that you want to do this? Like, what is it that is calling within you that wants to make this change? So I'm curious, like, have you in your work found that there are certain traits that people have that make them more motivated versus, they tried it for one day, it didn't work, they're done.
What I really, really like are guided meditations, because, for example, I have in my Joy Academy, I have one masterclass about food too. And I'm trained in nutrition, not like you, but like in my whole studies, we had lessons at university in nutrition in various ways. But only when I was studying, it was like 3 times, it changed everything. So my message is you have to find out yourself. And for that, I have a meditation where you kind of imagine how you step out of your body and you sit next to him or her or them. Mm-hmm. And then you have a conversation. And that's so fascinating to me. Then, like, clients tell me, like, I don't have to eat chocolate in the evening anymore. I tried everything to stop it. And I knew all the information why I shouldn't eat so many sweets in the evening. But now I did this 15 minutes meditation and my body told me, I don't like that. Could you please just don't eat so much chocolate in the evening? I feel like this and this and this. And because it's the information and the begging of yourself, it's not from the outside, it's from the inside. You know, it's I'm like a stubborn toddler. If you tell me you have to do it this way, I for sure don't want to do it this way because I want to decide myself, you know, like a 3-year-old, like I want to decide myself, and I take the rubber boots for rainy day, even though it's 30 degrees and summer. So yeah, like guided meditations bring the answers from within you. And of course, then you can listen or don't listen, but it's a different approach than from the outside. I really, my whole teaching and also my coaching is built on that you can find the answers within you. And then, of course, it's absolutely valuable and so good to have experts who can give you information. But if you do the decision from the inside out, that's so, so powerful. And also very gentle, you know, it's not a big bang. It can be just like a nudge, like, please, I don't like chocolate in the evening. Thank you very much. But, oh, wow. And now all of a sudden it's very easy. And it doesn't have to be, but I have a lot of very, very cool results with guided meditations.
Yeah, I think like just for people to quiet down and to have that internal conversation. Like a lot of people don't have that because they're used to all this external noise, right? So I'm always like I'm either listening to podcasts or audiobooks or reading a book. Like I'm always kind of like in learning mode. And I've been lately on my walks, I've been listening to Stillness is Key. Have you listened to that book or read that book?
No. Can you say it again?
Stillness is Key.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the book, it's just like all of these different, some of them historical figures, some of them current figures, but just looking at sort of their success, how it comes from this place where it's not the outside world telling them to do this, this, and this. It's literally them getting quiet and having that internal wisdom of what's the next move, right? And a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that experience. And so it's hard for them to trust themselves because they've never slowed down enough to really listen to that internal voice that is guiding them, right? It's all this external noise that's like, oh, maybe I'll do this and maybe I'll do that. And, you know, so I think it's great that you're using guided meditations because meditation is so, so powerful. And for a lot of people, they're not used to getting quiet. So guided meditation is a good segue into silence and stillness.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't have the expectation to sit still for 15 minutes or even an hour and just don't think anything. That's so hard. And that like needs so much training. But the guided meditation is like a fairy tale in your head. And also when you quiet your mind with a little, not hypnosis, but kind of like go down a stair and just like your mind sits into a corner on a nice seat and is not allowed to comment all the time, like, what are you thinking? This is not true. What bullshit? Like, this voice is just seated back there, and then you can just be like a kid, like, ooh, I see this and that, and it's I think also energizing and so interesting. I'm always amazed. I do one meditation and then people tell me what they saw. It's like, wow, this is so cool. It's different for each and every person. And then of course some are like, I didn't see anything or I was distracted. But then they do it again and yeah, then it's like, wow, it's like going to the movies, but inside. And that's what you said. Like last year, these outside, of course, you could watch Netflix a year long, then you're distracted too. But
Yeah.
like, yeah.
It's funny though. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we do have all this technology, so it is still possible to keep yourself perpetually distracted if you choose to. But it's really, really interesting because I know even for myself, like, I mean, I don't watch TV anymore during the week. Friday night, Saturday night, if I'm around, we like to watch a movie, and that's kind of like a way to unwind. But other than that, I don't watch TV. So
me neither. I don't watch news. I don't consume any news.
Yeah, I don't watch the news at all. And then the last couple of books that I've read, like just this talking of like getting stillness, getting quiet, because my phone is always going off all the time. I have certain hours of the day where my phone goes into airplane mode, and it stays in airplane mode. So I'm literally unreachable. I'm not checking my email. I'm not checking my notifications. I'm just off the grid. I'm doing my thing. Usually in the morning it's meditation and yoga, going for walks, that kind of stuff. And then I decide what time I'm coming back into the system.
And how is it? Are you like, ooh, I missed something, or
No.
are you totally relaxed?
I totally relaxed. I absolutely love it. I feel like I'm taking my life back because it was with my phone, it was just getting a little bit too much all the time. So it was like, I just feel like, okay, I'm finally like getting to, not finally, because obviously I've had this experience of not having a phone. I've had experiences where I didn't have a smartphone, where I wasn't on social media. And even in this day and age, I have times where I go off and I do 10 days of silent meditation. My phone's not on the whole time, right? So I'm used to this and I like being able to go deep. But the last couple of books I read, and then listening to this whole stillness is key, I thought, yes, this is a reminder. This is a reminder for me to go back to the thing that I know works, which is silence, stillness, quiet. Like, I just feel like it's almost 4 o'clock here, but I feel like my whole day has been stretched, right? Because that's what meditation gives me. Like, I just feel like an expansion, right? It feels like 8 o'clock was like days ago, right? But I'm not tired. It's just that I feel like, okay, things are still getting done, but it's not at this crazy frenetic pace. And I like that.
Yeah,
So,
that's just so much more healthy. And if you are focused in the time you are working, you get more done than just like, yeah, jumping out of bed. You're already in your car with something drinking in your head. It's just in your hand. It's just this breathless kind of lifestyle is just not healthy and not fun. Come on, who enjoys that?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's something I also implement in my days. Like if I walk somewhere or I take it all in, like the smell, the sounds, the people. It's just like this. I'm alive, and this moment is a treasure to me, even though it's the most normal, boring again, like in Japan, like just the normal daily life. It's so precious to me, and that's why my days are also, they feel like so big, even though it was a normal work day, normal, like nothing special, but it's a wonderful, beautiful day. And then you have 7 days, and then it's a week, and it's only 52 weeks. And and then it's a year. It's like appreciating every moment. And of course, sometimes it's not possible for me, but mainly I'm like this, and I train myself to really, really be present and enjoy it. Because like now here, I enjoy it so much to be with you here. And everything else is like somewhere else. I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
I totally understand you, and I just really, really, really appreciate that, because I think in this day and age, you can choose what to give your energy to. You can choose your thoughts, you can choose how you want to feel, how you want to show up in your life, and especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed out, all of those things, it's time to cut back. It's time to get rid of the distractions. And like I had somebody joke with me today, oh yeah, I'm going to call you in the middle of the night. I'm like, you can go ahead. My phone is in airplane mode. You're just going to get my voicemail. And I love that, because I feel like that's how you can take charge of your life and your schedule, is by really being mindful of what inputs you're allowing in and what you're choosing to respond to. Even I'm like you, I don't listen to the news. I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, and it's the same with food, and then with movement. What do you want to let into your body and your mind? And then what do you want to think? Like, what are your thoughts? You can tame them and coach them so that they are helpful and you feel just good nearly all the time. It's possible. It doesn't have to be like this. You can
just be decide. like this, sometimes like this, maybe, but then back up, right? So we're nearing the end. How can people find you?
My website is joyismycompass.com.
Nice.
And also on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm everywhere. And my name is Ronja Sakata. And also on TikTok. I'm starting there.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yes, Joy is my compass and Ronja Sakata. You will find me.
That's amazing. So I would say for anybody who's watching or you're listening to this, like, make sure that you check her out. And especially if you're somebody who's feeling like, you know what, I'm not feeling that joyful these days, then you definitely need to look her up, because it's a skill. It is a learned skill to be in gratitude and to be in joy. That is a learned skill, and it's possible for anyone to learn these habits. And if the habits you're currently having, if they're not experiencing joy and gratitude within you, then it's time to upgrade those habits.
Yes, I'm here for you.
So I think we're down to like the last little bit. Just a little reminder that this show can be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Her network is a part of Spanglish World Media. Check out spanglishworld.ca for all music programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I appreciate you coming on later in the evening in Switzerland and joining me. And I'm glad we got the camera to work, because that screen looks a lot better. That camera's a lot better.
Yes, it is. See here?
Oh, I love it. I was wondering. I love it.
And here is gold and flow. I just wanted to create a grid like the ones on social media. That was so much fun.
Oh, that's amazing. That is absolutely perfect. And totally, like, I love the colors, really popping. And I hope that people come and seek you out, because this world always needs more joy and more gratitude.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.